Good morning. It is Wednesday, July 19th, 2023, Anno Domini. And I wanted to take this time. I'm up early. And I really need to be getting up this early, right before the birds start chirping. It's a good time to get alone. But I wanted to share with all of you a theory, I guess you could say, but something that I notice consistent all throughout Scripture. And I'll do my best, and I'll try to make this a short one. And it's my theory could be titled, "There's something about the water." I've had a brother of mine who entertains this theory with me, but just starting from the very beginning, there's something about water that, to me, it illustrates death. It doesn't always mean it, but it illustrates death. I know that might be contrary if any of you are on this channel and you understand that, I am a Bible-believing Christian. I'm born again, love the Lord, love His Word. And Christ Himself refers to Himself as the living water. Okay, so how does water illustrate death? Where plants needed to live, we needed to live. We'll say almost everything that's living requires it in some way, shape, or another. But just jumping right to it, I'll start right in Genesis during the creation story. Is that in Genesis, if you pay very close attention to each day, He says that on the first day He made, and God said, "Let there be light," so the light was good, so on and so forth. And evening and morning marking the first day. And there was the second day, the third day, the fourth day, fifth day, sixth day, and the seventh day. He saw everything that He created, so it was very good. But if you notice that as He's going through, as you read about each day, day 2 is the only day that He says that it wasn't that very good. He saw that it was good. That was the only day He didn't say it was good. That's indicator number 1. It's the only day that God says Himself that, no, I'm not saying that this one's good. Some may argue, another brother of mine told me, it was like, well, day 7 it lumps it in, because he said he looked at everything and saw that it was very good. And I get that, but please tell me why on the other remaining 5 days of creation, excluding day 2, He itemizes that it was good on each and every single day. So Him omitting that it was good on day 2, to me, is an indicator. Okay. So when He rested on the 7th, and Him saying that it's lumped in with that He saw that everything was good, and that's lumping in day 2, I don't buy it, just because of the sequence of events and the verbiage and how everything is spelled out. So there's that. I feel like I have to defend myself there. Day 2 is the only day God says that He doesn't say it was good. Also, in Genesis, we have the flood of Noah. Everything, God decided to judge the world by flood. Water. So, you have a bunch of dead things floating in the water. Dead. And Noah, his 3 sons, their wives, and Noah's wife were on the ark. And that is what saved them from God's judgment. So, okay. So we have, in the beginning, God doesn't say it was good. We have Noah's Ark, where God judges the world by water, and the symbol of the rainbow has nothing to do about alphabet soup. And you understand. Our generation knows and thinks what a rainbow is. Rainbow is actually a symbol of God's promise that He'll never judge the world again by water, and He's keeping that promise. It's just the next judgment's by fire. So we had those 2. Third one, and it could be debated, but I notice it, is in the book of Exodus. Pharaoh issues out a decree to kill all of the Jew children that are being born, and Moses is the one who is kind of like placed in this basket and sent away. And the decree, if I remember correctly, the decree that was said is that they were to be killed and thrown into the Nile. So Moses was placed in a basket, floating down the Nile. And what was in the Nile when he was floating down the basket? He had a bunch of dead babies. Death again. So that's number 3. So you have Genesis, in the creation account, doesn't say it was good. You have the flood with Noah, judges the world, kills everything with water. We have Moses floating down in a basket, and there's death in the water, which is also that's an illustration also of seeming like Noah's Ark at the same time. There's this floating on water, death below. And then you have, I'm Genesis, Exodus, and the next that you would have, I would say, is jumping to Jesus' ministry. He goes to, is it the Gadarenes? Across the Sea of Galilee. And once he's in the Sea of Galilee, or once he goes across the Sea of Galilee, there is the demon-possessed man who is possessed by a legion of demons. And he calls them out, he casts the demons out. You can read the story if you like. I believe it's in Matthew, 1 or 2 other Gospels as well. And they plead with Jesus to let us go into the swine. Don't send us wherever, just can we go into the swine? He says, go. So once they go into, all the legion of demons go into the herd of swine, and where do the swine go? They jump off a cliff into the water. Okay, so that's where the demons are even going. They're going into the water, and that's where the swine went. So you have unclean spirits in an unclean animal, biblically speaking. I love bacon, and we're free to eat as we please. Going into the water. So I'm recapping every time. Genesis, the creation account, the flood with Noah, Moses, basket, death in the water. Yeah, the pigs jumping off the cliff into the water. Those are and baptism. What does baptism illustrate? Baptism illustrates death and rising again to life, right? So what the submersion into water signifies death, and the rising out of the water signifies life. And there's so much imagery there also, just like how the earth was born out of a water sack. When a child is born, it comes through a water sack. So when you're coming out of the water, there's birth, there's life. So I think that's very interesting. So, and if there's probably one of the most awesome flexes that my wife and I were discussing, and it is really cool to see, is that you have Jesus, after the whole instance with the demons being thrown or going into the swine and going into the water, he sends his disciples out. He says, I'll meet you on the other side, or you just go. And a big storm hits and they start freaking out, or whatever. And there you see Jesus actually walking on the water. And if you take all these accounts and all this, I'm sure there might be more, but this is my personal belief, and this is my personal theory right now. I'm not being dogmatic about it. I just find it extremely interesting, and I just wanted to share with all of you, is that Jesus walking on water is now showing that he is above death. He's conquered death. He walks on it. And it reminds me even of what the curses were in Genesis, where it's like, you will strike his heel and he will crush your head, speaking about the Messiah. That was the curse that was being given, I believe, to Satan, causing enmity between woman and Satan. I would cause enmity between you and the woman, the seed of the woman, between your seed and her seed. Women don't have seeds, they have eggs. So it's speaking of the Messiah that was going to be born of a virgin. It's called the Proto-Evangelium. It's the first mention of the Messiah, I believe. Could be wrong. But yeah, I really just do think that there's something about the water. And even if we were to jump to Revelation, to where it's like when I don't know, something just, it's either Euphrates dries up, or or when you read about the beast coming out of the sea, there's so much illustration. There's nothing good really about water, except for when Jesus is referred to as the living water. So if Jesus is referred to as living water, and I could be going extra with this, if he's being referred to as the living water, that kind of alludes, if I were to keep this in sequence, that water symbolizes and illustrates death. And Jesus was articulating, it's like he would, I'm not putting words in his mouth, but I'm saying he would be saying that, yes, there's this death culture, there's this death theme going on with water, but I am the living water. He's making a contrast. You'll never thirst again. And I think that's so beautiful. But I really do relish, and I just really like that, where Jesus, he overcame death. He's conquered death. He's walking on it. And just my quiet time this morning, I was meditating on that. And it looks like it might even rain today. And just had me thinking about this, and it's just something I wanted to share. So that's my morning. What do you call it? Brew talk. My morning brew. And let me know what you guys think. Leave in the comments section below. I might be crazy, might not be. But if you think of any other scripture references that may support this, or if you think of any scripture references that may refute this, try me. I'm enlightened to hear. I'm just a guy with the Bible trying to learn just like the rest of us. So may God bless you. Stay frosty out there. Keep doing the things. And I'll catch you in the next video.